So this is probably the best feature of Node.js, and it's the community, right? Node.js is a thriving community full of individuals who contribute and build and create like some of the most amazing things you can use inside of your JavaScript applications. So if you've been doing front-end development, you've probably heard of React or any other framework like that, or a library like Lodash or something like that. All of those are packages that you can consume inside your application. And even though those are front-end packages, they are still considered Node packages. They're still, because you're actually installing them with Node. They're being built with Node, things like that. They're being consumed by Node, even though the end target is probably the browser. But how they got there was through Node, the mechanism of how they got into your application. So you could think of packages as like a collection of modules, or even just one module that is available to you, like it's shared, whether it's on a registry somewhere, whether it's locally on your computer. It's just a bundle of modules or some type of logic that's able for you, that you are able to use. And you didn't write it. It's its own application. It's its own entity, and you're bringing it in. Almost like the internal modules found in Node.js, like the FS file system that we use. We talk about path, different things like that. You can think of those as packages built internally into Node.js. So when it comes to Node, there is a very special tool that we use to manage those packages, because like I said, there's hundreds, thousands, millions of packages out there, and you need to have some type of experience around that to be able to get the packages you want, find them, make sure that they're right, different versions, different stuff like that. So there's something out there that's called Node Package Manager, or NPM for short. NPM actually is already installed on your machine if you have Node. You didn't have to do anything. It comes bundled with Node, although they're two separate things. So NPM is amazing because it allows us to search, install, build all different types of packages in our application much faster. A lot of OS level languages like Python and Ruby, they also have package managers. Python has like pip, Ruby has like Ruby gems, different things like that. This is just Node's version of that. It's called NPM. There's also other package managers out there as well. You might have heard of like Yarn and probably some others that are out there as well. They pretty much all do the same thing, and they're interchangeable with small features here and there. Going forward, we're just going to use NPM for everything because that's the standard, and up to the point that it is now, it's actually pretty good. So we're just going to use NPM. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our first package, and we're going to learn how to consume other packages. So let's do that. So what we're going to do is, first we have to turn an ordinary Node code base, an ordinary Node app, into a package. And you've probably seen this and done this a bunch of times, but you probably didn't know what it was for and what it was, the meaning behind it. So I'm going to walk you through it. We need to create a package JSON file, and we're going to use NPM to do that for us. So let's head over to our app here. I already had all this stuff. I'm just going to make a new folder and toss all this stuff in there, and I'm going to call it like intro. And I'm just going to say, let me just grab all of these things, drag them all, I guess. I don't know. I'm just going to put all these in the intro folder. Then I'm going to make a new folder here, and outside of this folder, I'm going to make a new folder. And I'm going to call this package, like that. It's important that we make a new folder here, or you can treat your root folder as the folder that you're going to work on. Regardless, we need a folder to put something in. So if you're following along, just make a folder. And then what you need to do is you need to make sure that you change directories into that folder from your terminal. So I'm going to change directories into package, like that. Now I'm inside of package. And what we're going to do now is we're going to initialize a package JSON file, which is basically telling Node that, hey, this is a package. So we're going to say npm init. And once you run that, you're going to be inside of this interactive prompt that's going to be asking you questions. You can just hit enter repeatedly to go through the defaults, but we're going to walk through so we kind of understand what these field names are and why some of them are important and why some of them aren't. So the first one it's asking you is like, what's the name of this package? This is important because if you ever decide to publish this package to a registry, and we'll talk about that, this name has to be unique. That way, when someone npm installs your package name, it's guaranteed to be that package and not something else. We don't want any conflicts on names, so there's no miscommunication or misunderstanding about which package you're actually getting. So if you are going to publish it, it has to be a unique name, and As you would imagine, like anything else that's unique, like URLs, all the good names are already taken. So you can namespace these if you pay for like a private account. You can namespace them, or maybe it's free now. I don't remember. But if you get an account, you can namespace them, and that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, you do want to give it a name. I'm just going to call mine app, because we're probably not going to publish this. It's totally fine. And that's only if you publish it. If you're going to keep it locally, you don't have to give it a unique name. In fact, this name doesn't even really matter. So I'm just going to say app. I'm going to keep it on version 1.0.0. If you've never seen this version syntax before, this version syntax is called semantic versioning, or SymVer for short. And basically, it's just a 3-digit system that like tells you what the major version is, what the minor version is, and what the patch version is. Whereas major is every time you see a bump in the major version, that's a really big change. It's probably going to break your app if you upgrade to that. A minor is like, oh, we fixed some bugs. You know, everything pretty much works the same. We're just fixing some stuff behind the scenes, or maybe we added something new that doesn't break anything. And then a patch is just like, yeah, we like changed some documentation, or we changed how this thing works, but you use it exactly the same. So that's SymVer. So that's why you'll see those 3 digits. So I'm just gonna keep that at 1.0. The description is exactly what it sounds like. Whatever you put here is gonna show up on like a registry's website, like NPM website, or if it's hosted on GitHub, or if it's hosted on Yarn, or whatever registry, some internal registry, the description field is here so it can be read and presented that way. And then the entry point is, if I were to require or import your module, what file would I be importing? What is that file? That's the entry point. The entry point is what is the door into your module when someone imports it. So that's it. I'm just going to default to that. And then the test command is what command should we run when someone tries to test this thing? And I'm just going to keep that blank for now. The Git repository is exactly what it sounds like. Where on Git is this hosted, if anywhere? And keywords we don't need. Author, don't really care about right now. And the license is OK. So as you can see, I went through all of that, and it generated this JSON object here, and it added it to a file called package.json. So I'm going to say yes, that's OK. And then I'm going to go check it out. So you can see I have a package.json here. And all the stuff that I filled out is right here, ready, good to go. So now we are officially a package. We are an NPM package right now. And now we can use NPM and we can do all different types of things. So let's go back over to our website here. We talked about some of these, like the name and the version. We talked about the main here. One thing we didn't talk about was scripts. So scripts is really powerful. We're going to use them here in a little bit. But they basically just allow you to teach NPM different commands to run, like little shortcuts that you can do. Test was one of them. It asks us what was the test command. That's a test script. But you can make a script any name, and you can make it do whatever you want. So they can be pretty powerful. Next, we're going to use NPM to actually install some stuff and see how that works. And I just want to walk you through that process. So some of the commands that we want to use are going to be npm install. So if we go look at npm install, if I type in npm install help, you can see that it pretty much says you can run npm install with no args, and it's going to try to install everything in the directory. We'll talk about that. Or you can run npm install with like a name, and that name could be, like I said, a scoped thing if you have a paid account or something like that, or an alias to something, a folder if it's local, even a Git URL, a username /project. Like you could pretty much install anything at this point with npm. It's pretty impressive. Then there's just a couple flags here that we're going to talk about and how that works. So npm install is one. It's exactly what it sounds like. It installs packages. And then we got npm tests, which is the test script. And then we got npm uninstall, which is the opposite of install. It uninstalls things. So those are the 3 main commands that you'll probably be using on npm, and until you run into like caching problems and deduping and versions all messed up, then you got to start looking into all these other crazy npm commands. But we're not going to do that today. We're just going to focus on these 3. So it is going to be just fine.